Friends, I ask that you remain standing as you're able for a land acknowledgement. This is Indigenous Peoples Month, and we are focusing on Indigenous peoples today. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. For millennia, the Kumeyaay people have been a part of this land. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. At University Christian Church, we acknowledge this legacy. We promote this balance and harmony. We find inspiration from this land, the land of the Kumeyaay. We also recognize that the land our building occupies is unceded Kumeyaay land. We commit ourselves to caring for this land and its inhabitants in honor of the Kumeyaay people, and always in a spirit of stewardship, openness, and care of land and neighbor. May it be so.
We used our elements to try to explain to each other, to our kids, our youth, for thousands of years, what life was about. And a lot of the things we would say to watch out for as individuals, as a community, were things like greed and selfishness, and all of these things we kind of know are bad. And we would say, well, you see that in nature through some of the animals. And one of those animals was the coyote. And the coyote for us is very sacred and a very important animal because it's one of our teachers. And it teaches us not to do these things. And for us, we say in a lot of our ceremonies, the coyote is going to come and it'll eat you if you don't watch out. So we have to protect it from our own selves, meaning that we have to protect what's holy to us and special. And when we do that, we protect our families and we protect our community. And so in our songs, we say there's a story of our people coming together like you guys have today to protect what is sacred to each one of us, whether it's our energy, our life, our time, whether it's our youth, whether it's our health. And again, as a community you guys have here, you protect that. And for us, that's not something that we do sitting down. It's something we do dancing and enjoying life. And so the song has a lot of exuberance. And when I sing this amongst my people, and the people from here to the Grand Canyon who share in my culture, they'll get up and they dance to this. And it's kind of as the kids say, it's a banger, you know, it's like a really lot of energy to it. But it talks about the beauty that we as people have within us and that we have to protect that. And again, we don't want to go out and hurt no coyotes, but that's just a teacher to let us know about the world. And so in the story, they sing this song and they push the coyote out and they protected the heart of themselves and the community. I'd like to sing that song this time. Hey, aming, hey, aming, hi, oh, and hi, namono. Hey, aming, hey, aming, hi, oh, and hi, namono. Hey, aming, hey, aming, hi, oh, and hi, namono. Hey, aming, hey, aming, hi, oh, and hi, namono. Hey,
Good morning. Today's scripture reading is an interpretation of the first creation story found in the book of Genesis. It constitutes oh my goodness, the prologue of the First Nations translations of the Bible, which honors the indigenous traditions. Hear what God's Spirit is saying to you. Long ago, in the time before all days, before the beginning of all things, the Great Spirit created the spirit world above and the earth below. At the time, our Mother Earth was an empty wasteland with no form or beauty, and great darkness was over the face of the ancient deep waters. The breath of the Great Spirit moved over the surface of the waters like an eagle brooding over her nest. Creator sounded his voice, "Let light be," he said. And light was. The Great Spirit could see the light was good, so he separated the light from the darkness. Creator gifted the light with the name day, and the darkness he gave the name night. Then night faded and morning came. The first day. In 6 days, the Great Spirit made all things seen and unseen. He made the spirit world above and the earth below. He created the spirits to be his messengers and helpers. He also made the sun, moon, and stars, and all plants and animals. He made the great waters and all who swam in them, the winged ones who fly in the sky, the four-legged who would walk the ground, every creeping thing that crawls. All were shaped and molded by his hands. On the 6th day, Creator made the first man and woman and placed them in the garden of beauty and harmony to be caretakers of the earth. On the 7th day, the Great Spirit rested from his work of creation, not because he was tired, but because he was finished. The Great Spirit blessed the 7th day and made it a holy day. So humankind was created to enter into his day of rest and remain in harmony with Creator and care for all of creation. Here ends the reading of words that give us insight on God. May God grant us wisdom and courage for interpretation.
Friends, today we're going to do something that we call a holy conversation that has become a bit of a tradition here at University Christian Church. We welcome someone who comes from another tradition to talk about their tradition, and we have a holy conversation as we strive to learn more about the tradition. So, friends, I hope you will join me in welcoming Raul Chrisman Sr., who is here with us today and is going to talk to us.
I got a mic, I didn't know. I have to turn it on.
You're on.
We're good? Okay.
Great. Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. We're grateful that you're here. So, Raul, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. It's good to see all you guys today. I come from Viejas Reservation, so my mom is from there at the Viejas community. That's out by Alpine. And my dad comes from San Isabel, which is out in the mountains by Julian. And my grandparents, they're all native. They're all Kumeyaay. My grandfather, one of them comes from a community down just east of La Huerta, or just east of Ensenada, called La Huerta, down in Mexico side. So our nation goes on both sides. But my family's lived out in East County since they put that border up and kind of been landlocked a little bit, or locked in. And I grew up there at Viejas Reservation, born and raised. And I've really lived my whole life as a singer. The songs you see, there's 350 of them approximately. I've never really counted them, but that's what I get told. And if I sang them, I could sing them now, sing all the way through the night till tomorrow this time, and I'd still be singing. Yeah, and I do that, but I've spent the last, my whole life learning it. My dad is a singer. It's generational. It takes a lifetime to learn. So, then I went to school at San Diego State, and I got a master's from Point Loma Nazarene University. So, I like to learn new things, have new experiences, and coming here has been a great experience so far. Yeah.
Well, we're really glad that you're here.
You.
Yeah, thank you, because I know that's also takes some vulnerability to come.
Yeah, I don't come down here too often, so and into a congregation and walk in, it's very nice though. You guys all seem very nice.
We do our best.
Yeah.
that's what we say. We're not always perfect, but we try to do our best, and that's one of the things the community does. I think when it's at its best, right, is it tries to inspire us to do better. So could you tell us a little bit more about the Kumeyaay people, and maybe some of how that connects with birdsong, because that I think is new to some of us.
Well, as I said earlier, we say we're the first people of this land, and thousands of years our people lived here. And in our creation story, we say there was a point at which our people would die, and they would kind of just go off and die, kind of leave the community. They felt like they were a weight at some point. They'd probably go off and die maybe. This is a long, long time ago. Somewhere 5,000 to 6,000 years ago, our people had their first ceremony. They prayed, and they needed a way to kind of deal with death, essentially. And so we have a whole story about how the cremation ceremony was given to our people. And for thousands of years, we cremated. And that goes into our way of thinking, our worldview, because as our people once lived, like where the ocean's at, during the ice ages, that ocean was lower. There's villages on the outside, like under that water, submerged, La Jolla, different places. We have some of our old villages. But we lived from there all the way to the Colorado River, out in Yuma. And in those areas, when we would pass, we would put our old ones into rest, into the soil. And then when we cremated them, they would go up, and they would also go into the soil. And for us, our worldview was always that when we pass on, we go to the Creator, and what's left with us, the physical part, enters back into the soil, whether it's through burial or through cremation, through the ashes coming down and the ash that's left behind. And so when we think of that, we think of this land. A long time ago, people would say, like, this land, talk about it, and we would always say, well, this land is where we come from. This is, we are the same as the land. We are of the land. The land is us. And it seems very philosophical, like this is where we've always been. We come from the land. We eat off we eat the animals and eat off the plants. But quite literally, when you look at any part of San Diego, you're going to find trace of our people, because for thousands of years, we've walked these lands. Our hair, our nails, skin that comes off of us has gone to that ground. The same way when you look at you're cleaning your house at home, you see the dirt in your house. Science says that a lot of that's actually off of us as people. It comes off of us. Well, we've done that to San Diego County and beyond for thousands of years. And also, when we look at some of these lands where we used to cremate our people and bury them, it is literally point to a spot and say, that's my ancestors right there. That's where my old people are. And so when I say I'm from Viejas, that's where my grandmother and all my old people on my mom's side have been interned there. And I talk about San Isabel, that's where my dad, his family, they were cremated and buried there. And we all move around and travel and everything, but we have such a trace here of not just the survival part of the animals and the plants, but also being laid to rest here, calling this place our home. And that goes back thousands and thousands of years. And so our worldview, our history, everything it's still with us. In our songs that I sing, they talk very philosophically, but they also talk about things that are very, very much, I guess nowadays say scientific. They talk of our history. We are an oral tradition, so we didn't write everything down. We recorded ice ages and the animals. We recorded things in the sky, all kinds of things that have happened to our people. We recorded them through the word, through speaking. So speaking like I am now to you guys, for us is like, it's such an honor. It's such a big deal to be able to get up and speak in front of others. So you try to say good words, meaningful words, but that is how we transmit knowledge from one generation to the next. It's how we transmit our philosophy, our manners, everything that we want to get to the next generation. Our equity, we talk about equity in paying for a house, but our equity in what we want for our family in the future, what we want for our people 7 generations in the future. We would put that into our youth and our grandkids and great-grandkids, however long we lived. And we put that moving forward. And so the way we did that was through talking, communication. That's why community was so important for our people. That's why we kind of didn't have a desire for these big communities, these big, large cities. We liked having small villages so everybody would know each other, everybody could be connected, and we can have that dialogue and that transmission of knowledge, and we could take care of each other, and people didn't fall through the cracks. And so that's how we lived our life for so long. And the problem is, though, is when you record a story and you hear people talk, they say like 20 minutes, at best, your attention falls apart. Generally, if you're 7 years old, you got about 7 minutes. If you're about 10 years old, you got about 10 minutes. But when you hit about 20, 25, it sits about 20 minutes, and that's what we get. If you're not interesting, it's half that. But if you're interested, anytime we have congregations of people, you're supposed to switch it up every 10 minutes if you can, to keep that energy, keep that, And what I'm getting at is it's hard to sometimes transmit that to our kids and our youth And what our people did, and we are told this was a gift from the Creator, that the rhythm that we see in nature was actually taught to us. Rhythm of how to dance and all what we feel with the music and the song, it connects us to those meanings much deeper than just hearing it. That's why we like movies. You watch a movie and you think, is this a scary part? You don't know until you start hearing the scary music and you go, oh my God, I'm scared. You don't know this is a funny thing until you hear the funny music. Music, it connects us to our emotions and it connects us to those deeper meanings. So our ancestors were given the gift of these songs. And it says that for us that our people were out acting very crazy. They'd come together and they'd want to fight with each other and argue. And they had all these bad emotions every time they were kind of coming together. So the old ones at that time, the elders at that time prayed and they asked for something to bring people together in a good way so they can continue learning and growing and having good times. And what was brought to them were these songs. And the songs, like I said, the first part talks about the sun going down, talks about the creation of this earth, creation of humans, of us. And what we're supposed to learn from that is that whether we look different, come from different backgrounds, we should treat each other the same. We should treat each other good. We should take care of each other. The same way the earth takes care of us, we should take care of the earth, and we should take care of one another. And it was a reminder of that. And so the next 10 hours of the songs talk about our history. Some of it talks about places like the Abufador down in Mexico, where it looks like water gets shot against. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the ocean hits the coast and it shoots water up. We describe it looking like a whale, that the people walked and they saw a whale. We have songs about that. We have songs about the Orion constellation. We call that the Amu, which for us is the bighorn sheep. And we talk about how long ago they saw these sheep going up the side of a mountain and it would fall, but it would keep going and it would get to the highest spot. And the people said, wow, if that little animal can work its way up, just think about what we could do if we don't give up, and it's not always a straight line. Life's not always straight, but we can find our way to navigate to a good position. And so there's a lot of meaning to that. And so when it's in the sky as Orion's belt, that also helped our people to navigate what time of night it is, because it travels through the night and it turns after midnight. It tells us what time of year it is. We can navigate the year. So we know when spring's coming, we know when fall's coming, we know when winter's coming. And all of the different, things that come, we can see that in the stars. And so that Amu, or bighorn sheep, which navigates the night, tells us what time of night it is, also tells us what time of year it is. So a lot of our songs are like that. They're triplicate or beyond, where it's a very literal story about an animal, but it's also very philosophical in ourselves, that we should always try to go further in life and not give up if you fall. And that there's always navigation beyond us. There's always somewhere we can look. And sometimes you're down and out, you look up in the sky, you can see those stars and they will guide you. And they'll guide you and you'll get a deeper sense of meaning. It's like if you're having a really bad day, I always say, go to the ocean. Just go over there and stand. Let the water hit your feet. For us, we say it literally pulls that bad energy out of you and you feel good. You'll have a fresh thought that you haven't been able to have in a while. One of the worst things we can do is lock ourselves in our houses. But if we can get out, get some air, get in nature, and things will come to us, the good things. And so that song, tells us that. And it tells us of our creation. And so that's what the songs do. They tell us all these stories of these constellations, our movement of our people, locations. And then, like I said, in the morning, again, it returns to it asks a lot of questions. It says, what do you hear? And in the early morning, what do we hear? We hear the birds. And it talks about the different birds that we hear around. And some of those birds they're singing to us to give us that energy. Some of those birds are crying. You listen to them, you can hear them crying, and it's sad. And there's a song that asks, what are you crying? Why are you crying? And we're told that the bird is crying because yesterday's gone. It's a new day. It's sad. It's very sad that we have a new day. And that's kind of weird to hear, because we always are told a new day is beautiful. It's good. But if you've ever gone through loss, heartbreak, you've ever lost something that's important to you, had a transition in life, even if it's a good one, you have to journey on from the old ways. Maybe it was an old job you had. You didn't like it, you quit, but you missed your guys you worked with. Or maybe there was good things about it, or a relationship, or your kid's going to college or something, where I have a daughter who's going to college this year, and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm so happy she's going, but it's going to be very sad to not have her around the house. So we cry at every new opportunity. We're sad because that's behind us. But with the rising of the sun, the bird continues to sing, and there's other birds chirping positive. And we're supposed to then also remind ourselves that, yes, there is opportunity. and that it is sad, but we hold that with us. It gives us strength and guidance. And so the end of our songs, the cycle, talks about long ago are people getting up and walking before the sun rose, but the birds were singing, going out, hunting, doing all the things we still do, work and educating ourselves. They just did it different back then. And ultimately go into a place, what we call Mut Hai, which is new earth, improved earth, good hunting ground, sometimes it's referred to. When we pass on, we call that heaven. But heaven doesn't have to be some far off place, or we don't have to wait till we pass on to be there. For us, heaven is in moments. When you're hearing a song and you just feel really good. Maybe you had a bad day, you turn on that song in the car and you feel good. That is a little bit of that. You're feeling that. It's a whole different shift. It's a paradigm shift within your whole self. You can feel yourself almost, if you've ever had really bad times, you'll feel very low. But you have like a little moment come to you. Someone says something to you, a song, a memory, something comes to you and you feel invigorated, feel energized. Some people say that's hope. It could be a lot of things. But whatever that is, it gives you so much energy. And you could be tired, 2 days sleep, not slept, and something can energize you to stay up all night, whether it's a sick relative, an exciting night with friends. There's something that'll energize you. And we say that energy comes from the Creator. And that is a little bit of that heaven or Mut Hai, like a new plant growing. You get an old plant, and you mess it around, it'll break and fall off. But you take a new plant that's just growing, that new energy, you mess it around, and it's really pliable. And we are like that too. When we're right kind of to the end, we get very stiff and don't want to do nothing. We get upset, we get angry. But when we feel that rebirth inside of us, we can take a joke better. We can go and try new experiences, and we can, enjoy ourselves. And it doesn't matter how old you are or your health, you can do these things. So that's what our songs talk about. It's our history, it's our philosophy, our worldview, and it's all tied into who we are as people, but our environment. It's tied into our cosmology, and again, back to our faith. So these songs for us are very sacred. We do use them for good times. We're out having good times. We all come together. We'll sing. Different tribes sing them. We use them for sad times. I've sang these songs for people when they're getting married, graduating, when they're passing on. I've sang some of these songs and finished singing, shook their hand, and 2 minutes later they passed on. Mm-hmm. So this has been some of the last sounds that people have heard as they pass on to the other side. They've been used for healing, and they're very, very old. They're not composed. We're told that they're given to us directly from the Creator to our old ones. And they, generation to generation, have passed those down. So when I sing them, I'm just holding them for a small time, like a bundle. And at some point, they'll go to somebody else. I teach like 20 youth from the ages of, I think our youngest guy is 8 right now, to 28. And we travel all around, we share these. It's a tradition I'm teaching. It takes many years to learn. But I hold it for a little while, and then I'm teaching it to them, giving it to them, and they'll continue carrying it to the next generation, to the next generation. In the 1960s, we were down to only one individual who was singing these songs. And I was blessed that my dad, who's now in his mid-70s or late 70s, is a Vietnam veteran, and his buddies, who were quite frankly on the reservations, they were impoverished. There was nothing going on out there, no jobs, and they were just partying when they got money. They'd go work, get money, and they'd party, and they had nothing going on. And they saw this old man sitting there singing, and it seemed like something that was going to die out. And they sat with him, and they said, "Will you teach us?" And what he told them would forever change the trajectory of our whole nation. And because now it is something that brings so much pride to our people. When we come together, we sing. You'll see it on TV. You go to anything with Saquon, Viejas, Barone, of all of our tribes that are doing big things. I sang at the Super Bowl when I was in San Diego. I sang at the World Series. I sang like in New York City. February, I'm going out to Florida to sing. Like, we've taken it so far. And it's really empowered us and saved some of us, like myself. Because it is an item of faith, and that will save you. But what that old man told those young men, he says, "No, I ain't teaching you guys. You're not good enough for it. Forget it." And he laughed at him. And they were like, "What?" They were like, "Oh, all right, well." And they hung out with him anyways. He was going through stuff also. He's a human being. But they never gave up on him. And they hung out with him. It was their uncle, and they were still doing their partying. And he would kind of laugh at him like, "You guys are kind of being idiots, you know?" But over the period of time, they forged a relationship with him, and he did take them under his wing. And he taught my dad, and he taught the late Leroy Elliott, who was the chairman of Manzanita for many years. And from those two men, they're the ones who stuck with it. And they, in the 1980s and beyond, were the ones who were able to preserve all of these songs, the message, the language behind it, everything. And so now there's probably 100 people that sing them. But I was lucky in the 80s to grow up as a little kid with my brothers and sisters, my dad as a singer, teaching us all of this stuff. And so I take that and I use it to teach the kids around me. And there's others who have also learned and have spread it out like that. And in a way, I guess you could say it's almost like our gospel in some regards. But it's not denominational, so it doesn't, you can be Christian and sing those songs, you could be a Buddhist and sing those songs. Like, it doesn't seem, I haven't gone to a place of prayer and faith and thought to myself, wow, these are contradictory to my songs. Nor have I explained our songs, and it seems like people go, that's not what's right in the world. You know, like, I've never had contradiction on it, because they really do, they're so old that they really are based on things that we all experience, which is, of course, our environment, you know, and ourselves, and us as humans as we grow, the journey of life. Usually people ask me, like, what are the songs about? And I say, well, they're about journey. They're about a journey. They're about a journey of a bird, which part of it's about. It's about the journey of our ancestors, which it's all about. But really, beyond that, it's also the journey of our communities, our family. We all take a journey as a family. And that journey precedes us, and that journey is going to live beyond us, even whether we have kids or not, because we all make family with somebody, and they take that forward, and they interject that into their youth moving forward. And it's about our own personal journey, from being a little infant baby, coming in so pure, cleansed by life and all the love that's given to us. And then we're given hardship after hardship throughout our life to try to learn, grow. We fall, we get up. And for us, when we pass on, we re-cleanse ourselves in that moment. And we're prayed on, and people, you know, we give that love to that person and all that kind of stuff. And so we exit the world the same way we enter, the same way the sun sets, the same way it rises, and we go to be with the Creator, where we all come from. And so the songs talk about that journey from here to the Creator, and what's left behind, which is all of us. And so it's a beautiful thing to take part in. I enjoy doing it. I was last night at the Gas Lamp singing these songs for a museum opening or an art opening. We're all over the place. We travel, and for us as indigenous people of this land, if you haven't seen the movie Killers of the Flower Moon, it's a very sad movie. It's only one story of thousands of stories of genocidal acts, just really bad history that our nation, other nations on this original land had to endure to still be here. And for me, I don't get to, I think, you know, when I was younger, I would get upset, get angry. There's a lot of negative that can come out of that, but I always try to encourage people to also think about progress. You know, what does that really mean for the people? Growth, what does that mean? I don't think very many Americans watch that movie and go, good, I'm glad they did that to those people. And so what does that tell you about the growth of our nation and about the growth of our own mindsets? And right now we live in an era where I think we can look back 100 years ago and go, oh my God, that was horrible. Like, what were they doing back then? That's awful what happened. But 100 years ago, it was accepted. It was fine. It was common. You know, people felt like they could be that way, whatever way they were being. And so it shows growth within our nation. As a family, I'm sure we all have, you know, people we grew up with that maybe it was our parents or uncles or grandparents. You can remember them doing really bad things because that's what they did back then. And so even your family, you not doing that, your family has grown from that to be better. And so we all can continue to grow. And that's a beautiful thing. But yeah, our people experience quite a bit of rough stuff. 95% of our population was killed off by disease, not war. Everybody, there's always talks about war, but we really didn't fight a war. It was disease that came in. And I think now, coming out of a pandemic, we kind of understand a little bit of what that means. But imagine every 10 people in your life, every 10 people, like 9 of them passing on. The amount of knowledge and wisdom, the amount of energy, the amount of everything that you lose. People that were good at different kinds of arts, people that you hung out with, you grew up with, friends. And then what was left behind, that 5 to 10% of our population, who are biologically the strongest. But now they had to be living through the ashes of losing all of their support network and everybody around them. And that's what the Native story really is. And so for the last 100 years, the Native population continued to dwindle until 1920s. And then it kind of stagnated at that time. And then since then, it started to rise. And right now, the Native population it's almost back to what we say it probably was pre-contact. But it's taken all this time to get there. And it's been a journey, and we've gone through poverty and inequality. And, I joke around, I go down to La Jolla and I say, my family used to own this right here. But, we're still here, and we say things like land back, and we say things like, we're still here because we are. And I know for me anyways, I'm glad people are here, and I'm glad, I don't have it in my heart to be angry about people who are non-Kumeyaay being here. When I go back to my own traditional way of thinking, we welcome people into our land. That's what got us sick, to be honest with you, but they were doing it with a good heart. And you know what? I'm proud of my ancestors that they did that, to be honest with you. They brought in the Spanish, and that first year, they didn't baptize nobody. If you go back to the journals, they'll tell you that they were all dying, they were sick, they were hungry, they had no water, they didn't know how to live in this environment. And it was the Kumeyaay people that went down, and they fed them, they took them food, and they took them water for a whole year down there by the Mission Bay down there. And then after a year, they started to feel stronger. Their health was coming back. Mind you, the Indians were getting very sick. And at that time, they said, well, we want to move inland. And so they moved them inland to what is now Presidio, where the Presidio's at, and the mission's on the side, Mission Valley, they call it now. There was a big Kumeyaay village there. That whole village died from disease because they were helping the Spanish. But again, that's something I can take pride in. Not that my ancestors had to die in that way, but it showed what kind of people they were, that they would take somebody in that was hungry, that was cold, didn't know how to survive, give to them, take care of them, that they were a strong people who could do that. And yes, so many people did pass, but we're still here. I'm still here. I have kids. We'll forever be here. And that's just now part of our story. So that's good to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and thank you. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
And glad you're here with us today.